one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it because you can.
This story comes to us from the Daily Beast. A federal judge in Illinois has had enough of ICE agents body slamming, macing, and shooting people with pepper bullets with no apparent justification. Judge Sarah Ellis on Thursday of last week issued a temporary restraining order blocking federal agents from shooting less lethal projectiles and chemical irritants and using force such as pulling or shoving a person to the ground, tackling, or body slamming an individual. The ruling, which is in effect for 14 days, that's until next week, came after a slew of incidents involving ICE agents apparently running amok. In Chicago, CBS News reporter Asal Razai was driving away from an ICE facility when a masked ICE agent shot at an open window of her car with a pepper ball gun, a reporter. The pepper ball sprayed inside, burning her face and causing her to vomit. ICE agents stationed on the same facility's roof later shot pellet balls at a pastor standing outside among protesters, laughing while they did so, the man told CNN. He was hit in the head, collapsing to the ground, and as he was being administered aid, ICE officers followed up by spraying him with chemical mace. In Portland, Oregon, an armored gas mask wearing male ICE agent was shown on video blasting a chemical spray directly into a 19-year-old girl's face from inches away and with no warning as the girl spoke to agents, displaying no physical threat. And in New York City, the agency reinstated a male ICE agent captured on video grabbing an unarmed woman outside an immigration court and throwing her violently to the ground in a WWF-style body slam. Now, a DHS spokesperson had initially called the man's actions unacceptable and confirmed he had been taken off the job, pending a full investigation, which apparently didn't take that long. Aside from this brief vacation from duty given to this agent, there does not appear to have been any investigations opened by the agency or the Department of Justice opened into the federal agent's conduct. To the contrary, Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security leadership appear to be cheering on the misconduct. The shooting of Asal Razai in Chicago, however, has reportedly caused the Illinois State Police and Broadview Police Department to investigate and offers a path towards holding ICE agents accountable for violence and misconduct. Since the mid-20th century, Americans have largely grown used to seeing federal law enforcement protecting against illegal actions by state officials. During the civil rights era, many states, particularly southern states, were seen as enablers and perpetrators of violence against blacks and civil rights activists. Images of Presidents Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson sending federal troops and U.S. Marshals to protect students who were integrating southern universities in Mississippi, Arkansas, and Alabama are well known. But less well known is the state of Mississippi's prosecution of the chief U.S. Marshal on charges of disorderly conduct for having ordered the use of tear gas against rioters who sought to violently block the enrollment of James Meredith, a black student at Ole Miss. The charge was dismissed by a federal court, but serves as an example and reminder that states have the power to prosecute federal officers. While the Constitution's Supremacy Clause, which basically says that if a state law and federal law conflict, then the federal law wins, sets up a legal hurdle such prosecutions must clear. It does not provide blanket immunity for federal law enforcement. Indeed, the use of state criminal laws against federal law enforcement dates back to the 1800s. More recently, Idaho prosecutors in 1992 sought to charge an FBI sharpshooter for their accidental killing of anti-government separatist Randall Weaver during a standoff near Ruby Ridge, Idaho, after George Bush's DOJ declined to prosecute him. And in 2020, U.S. Park police officers in Virginia were prosecuted by the state's then Democratic Attorney General, after killing an unarmed motorist, though the case never went to trial following the election of a Republican Attorney General. Now, besides the supremacy clause argument, cases like the current criminal investigation in Chicago will also be subject to Department of Justice efforts to remove or transfer them to federal court. Such efforts will stall criminal cases even for years, as in the case of California versus Mesa, which addressed a postal worker charged in 1985 with misdemeanor manslaughter for hitting and killing a bicyclist while driving a mail truck. These more well-known cases notably reflect both what noted legal scholar and former U.S. Solicitor Seth Waxman has referenced as historical periods of friction between the federal government and each state. We are undoubtedly in such a period now, considering the Trump administration's clear desire to allow its federal police to act with impunity. It's a role reversal for federal law enforcement to be seen as the wrongdoers in need of state correction. They're punks, they're thugs, in my opinion. But correction is what is needed because policing without accountability is policing without justice. And that's what they're doing. He turns one in Los Angeles, turned and shot an Australian reporter in the back of the leg, and then turns back around. He's like, what happened to him? Nothing, because he's a cop. And that's the point. See, this is why a lot of people hate law enforcement. This is why. I've spoken to sheriffs and police officers and even a police chief who have said, look, man, you're so wrong. You're misjudging us. You're not giving us any grace. Well, you don't deserve grace when you justify a law enforcement officer who breaks the law. In California, we'd call it PC 245, assault with a deadly weapon, or assault with a weapon, or PC 242. They're committing these penal code acts, these criminal acts, and the government is going, well, come on, man. They have a badge. What do you want us to do? And that's why people hate law enforcement. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people hate law enforcement. We could open that can of worms and it could go in every direction. But one of the main factors that people hate law enforcement is because of these bad, unprofessional, thuggish acting cops, agents, police officers, deputies that commit these heinous, egregious acts, and their departments go, what do you want us to do? Kids will be kids. We want you to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. Isn't that what you tell protesters? Hey, if you assault one of our police officers, you'll be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But if one of your law enforcement officers assaults somebody else, what do you want us to do? They're kids, man. Kids will be kids. And that's why they hate you. And that's why they will always hate you. Because you're avoiding accountability. Your accountability is a one-way street. Don't come at us. We can come at you because we have a badge, but don't you come at us because we have a badge. What do you all think?